Was there agriculture and cities in India, let's say for 40,000 years ago? Second, is it possible that Homo erectus or the Neanderthals or the Denisovans engaged in agriculture and built cities? Let's take the second question first. It's possible that Homo erectus or Neanderthals or Denisovans may have engaged in some kind of agriculture. It's possible. We don't really have the evidence for it, but it's possible. We know that Neanderthal burials have been discovered, which contain traces of flower pollen, which means that the individual who was buried and flowers were deposited on the body and around the body. So that is a very uh, interesting funerary practice. It shows love and affection for the person who died. It's very similar to what people do today. They place graves place flowers and bouquets on graves. You put flowers on funeral pyres in India, and that sort of practice is common today among us Homo sapiens. The Neanderthals were our close cousins, so they also had this. So that's something that was similar that they shared with us, something similar with us. And about agriculture, we don't quite know. We haven't seen evidence of that, but it's certainly possible. About cities, uh, maybe, but we haven't discovered any. So one can keep an open mind and keep the possibility open that maybe they did, maybe we had found those for whatever reason, but the evidence isn't there. Now let's come back to the first question. Was there agriculture in cities in India 40,000 years ago? Okay, let's talk about agriculture in India. And let me put an article on the screen. This is an article by Dr. Anil Suri from 2018. One second, let me put that on the screen. So this is a good primer on how old Indian agriculture is. So let's just read a bit of this. It's common knowledge that food production in the northwest part of India, of the subcontinent, began with the Mehrgar Neolithic in the early 7th millennium BC. The 7th millennium BC is about, let's say, 7,000 BC. Okay. What's less known is that there were many independent centers for the development of agriculture on the subcontinent. There is evidence of rice being used as food on the Ganga plains from 13,000 years ago. 13,000 years ago, our ancestors were using rice in the Ganga plains. Okay, that's 13,000 years ago. Um, the banks of the Lahura Deva Lake in eastern Uttar Pradesh. Some stunning insights have come in from there. Um, yeah, so carbonized rice grains dating as far back as 11,000 BC, etc., were discovered there. That's what we're talking about. Um, uh, so it looks like rice cultivation actually emerged in India, not in China. Uh, Now, what else do we have? We have more evidence of that. Lahora Deva wetland. So, Lahora Deva Lake region had the dwellers of this place had progressed to wetland rice cultivation 9,000 years ago. What else do we have? Okay, we are done with Lahora Deva. Now let's talk about the oldest evidence that we have. Okay, of agriculture. So that goes all the way down south to Sri Lanka. So, and why are we talking about Sri Lanka when we're talking about India? Because at that time, Sri Lanka was physically connected to the Indian subcontinent because of the Ice Age. So it was not separate as an island, it was connected to the subcontinent, it was part of the subcontinent. Uh, so there's evidence of in the Horton Plains National Park in Sri Lanka, there is evidence of cattle herding and grazing, micro charcoal indicating the use of fire to clear the land of forests, cultivation of edible plants, and early management of barley and oats from 15,500 BC, almost 18,000 years before today. Okay, so that's how old agriculture is known to be in India. Did we have agriculture even before that? So you can check out this article. There's a lot of detail in this. Wonderful article, one of the best I've seen about the beginnings of agriculture in India. You can check this article out. Uh, so agriculture existed in the subcontinent at least 17,000 years before today. Where was that? Yeah, about 17,000 years before today. Was Did we have agriculture 40,000 years ago? I'm not sure. We haven't found evidence of that. We have evidence of agriculture 17,000 years ago, roughly before today. Cities. What about cities? We had cities about 10,000, 11,000 years before today. We have evidence from the Gulf of Hambat archaeological complex and other places, other such places in southern India as well on the east coast. That dates back 10, 11, 12,000 years before today. Underwater, submerged cities. But 40,000 years ago, I'm not quite sure. All right.